Boof. There goes Hurt. There's your PRO, pass run option. I have been implementing that into my high school game, and it has been unstoppable. And this is with high school kids. Think about it if you do it with, what's the old Remember the Titans line? It's just like butter. It works every time, right? You just run that play over and over and over again, it's going to be dangerous. But you got to keep A.J. Brown happy. James says he's got to make it minimum to the NFC Championship this year to keep his job. The NFC this year, let's look at the NFC, right, guys? You can say the Cowboys are going to be there because on paper they have one of the best rosters constructed in the NFC. You're still going to have the 49ers. You're going to have the Eagles. The Lions should be there as well. I'm going to throw in a surprise team in the Chicago Bears. They might be there depending on how their quarterback situation goes. The NFC is pretty wide open. So, James, I think you might be correct. I think that barring a epic collapse in the playoffs, post or second half of the season, again, the Eagles should definitely be in the Super Bowl / NFC championship game. Now, obviously, they don't have to win the NFC championship game, but I feel like if you go to the NFC championship game twice in 3 years, that gives you a pass for the next season, right? But I think if you at least make it to the divisional round and have a 11-6 season without like an epic collapse at the end, I think he is going to be okay. I think he could probably even lose in the wild card game without an epic collapse and still be okay. And says, yeah, he's definitely can't lose in the first round again. I mean, James and Ant, you guys might be onto something here. Like I feel like a decent regular season will kind of allow him to keep his job. But what if you do, like, what if the Eagles are a 6 seed or a 7 seed again in the playoffs, and then they lose to the Bucs again? I think you guys might be right. If he loses in the first round to a team that shouldn't be in a conversation of beating you, i.e. the Buccaneers, i.e. the Saints, those type of teams, it's going to be tough. John Harbaugh is on the hot seat too. He needs to go. Ooh. Baltimore Ravens fans do not like the mini coach Harbaugh. Let me ask you this question though, James or Ant. I'm sorry. Who would be a better coach for somebody like Lamar Jackson and the team that you have currently constructed there in Baltimore? You don't like John Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh has catered his coaching style to fit the playing style of Lamar Jackson. He has brought in these offensive coordinators to really expedite Lamar Jackson's growth. Do you think any other coach in the NFL right now, let's look at the coaching landscape across the NFL right now. Do you think any of those coaches would have been able to put Lamar Jackson in those positions to succeed like he has over the last 6 seasons? Yes, I do talk bad about Lamar Jackson a lot, but truth be told, without a coach like John Harbaugh or the people that he has put around him, Lamar Jackson would not be performing at an MVP level. Lamar Jackson would not have those 2 MVPs without John Harbaugh. Let's say you put Mike McCarthy as the Baltimore Ravens head coach. Do you guys make it to the AFC Championship game last season? Probably not. Mike McCarthy is a very run-happy coach. He wants to run the ball as of now, but previously he was a very pass-happy coach. You put him on the Ravens the last 3-4 seasons, Lamar Jackson's probably out of the league, or he's fired. Let's say put in Mike McDaniels. Comes from the running aspect from the 49ers. Has this high-flying offense in Miami. What kind of offense would he have in Baltimore? And I just think John Harbaugh is a good fit in Baltimore. I mean, isn't he the longest tenured coach right now in the NFL? Him and Mike Tomlin started the same season, right? Oh. James says that's an insane take. What are you talking about? And says how he always gets out coached in the playoffs. Lamar has saved his jobs years ago. Does he get out coached in the playoffs though, or does Lamar Jackson just not perform like he did in the regular season? It's kind of a double-edged sword a little bit here, Ant. Yes, maybe John Harbaugh does get a little bit out coached in the playoffs. Maybe his butthole does pucker a little bit as well. But let's just be honest. Lamar Jackson's stats in the playoffs are not that favorable either. Now, is that because John Harbaugh is putting him in bad positions to succeed? Or is Lamar Jackson just a playoff bust? Like, I would be curious to see what the game plans look like going into said playoff game. Let's look at the playoff game in Buffalo a couple years ago when Lamar Jackson got knocked out. What, the second quarter? Was that game plan to go in there and pass the ball all over the Buffalo Bills when they've been running the ball successfully all season long? I'd be curious. But I think it's a both person problem in the playoffs. I think it's a little bit of John Harbaugh in the playoffs. Also think it's a little bit of Lamar Jackson in the playoffs too. James says delayed handoffs are always gain good yardage. Sometimes, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys and get sacked for like 8-yard loss on the draw play. James says he is carrying Lamar's ass, then gets lit up and turned up Lamar when he folds up. Basically, James is saying that John Harbaugh has been carrying Lamar Jackson's sorry ass. Then he gets lit up and turned up when Lamar folds up. See, this is the issue that I have with a lot of the Lamar Jackson fans, right? Because I live in Louisville, Kentucky. There are tons of Baltimore Ravens fans down here because of Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman with the Louisville Cardinals, had a very successful college career. He is pretty much goated around here. He is put on a statue everywhere you go. If you talk bad about Lamar Jackson out in the streets, you might get shot. Let's just be honest. But this is the problem with Lamar Jackson fans, right? People like my man Isaac.